Call to order the regular meeting of the Rio Dell City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Garnes?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Carter?
Here.
Councilmember Orr?
Here.
Councilmember Wilson?
Here.
Councilmember Woodall? Here.
We are, there's nothing to report out in closed session. From closed session. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public presentations. This is the time for persons who wish to address the council on matters not on the agenda and over which the council has jurisdiction. As such, a dialogue with the council or staff is not allowed under the Ralph M. Brown Act. Items requiring council actions not listed on this agenda may be placed on the next regular agenda for consideration if the council directs, unless a finding is made by the council, at least 2/3 of the council, that the item came up after the agenda was posted and is of an urgency nature requiring immediate action. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Here. We will close public presentations and move to the consent calendar. Does anyone on the council like to pull anything from the consent calendar? You know, no. Then I would ask for a motion to approve the consent calendar. So moved. Yeah, the motion, is there a second? Second. Yeah, motion and a second. Vote. Motion carries 5-0. Reports and staff communications. Page 67 in our packets, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So tomorrow, I believe we should be seeing the start of work on Elm Street, the Elm Street paving project. Once there was the latest update today. Yep. Okay, so we're still good for tomorrow. So folks should expect some level of disruption. There's a little bit of work that needs to be done on Wildwood, and we're still working with the contractors, see if we can get them to do some spot repairs here at City Hall, the parking lot, and also on Center Street. So hopefully we'll be able to sneak those into the project timeline. And then also, as the council's aware, June 10th, we have the trail opening ceremony at 10:30 in the morning with the school kids who will be attending, but it's also an open public event, so council members of the public are encouraged to attend. With that, I will go ahead and happy to answer any questions the council may have and return it back to the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, city manager. And I hope everyone who can possibly be there on the 10th is there. We need to celebrate the children from Rio Dell School District. Caltrans will be there, and it should be really happy. I was going to be so happy. It should be a very happy event. So, Mayor Pro Tem?
No questions. I'm just going to point out once again on page 71, we have 0 cash transfers to Brandon's because that's what I always point out. Now, did we have, are these the same 2 dogs from last time, or is it exactly?
Yeah.
2 different dogs. Okay, but still no cats.
No cats.
Okay. And then just spay neuter your pets. We have vouchers. Go get them from the resource center. That's okay. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Ward.
No question.
Councilmember Woodall.
Chief, I was talking with Sarah today and she was telling me about the blue envelope program.
Yes.
And I'm glad that the city wants to be involved in it. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, the Blue Envelope program is a non-registry program designed to improve interactions between first responders, emergency medical services, and people with disabilities. So the idea of the program is people can come if they want to participate and pick up some type of swag at no cost to them, such as bumper stickers, stickers for the home windows, bracelets, seatbelt covers. So the idea that if they get stopped on a traffic stop or there's some sort of emergency and first responders are coming, they can queue up by seeing that blue envelope in Nisha and ask them for their blue envelope. And in that, they have their diagnosis, potential triggers, special needs accommodations to improve the level of service they get and the outcome of interactions between police, fire, EMS, and people with disabilities.
We're gonna have a car up there.
We're gonna have a car, we're gonna have a fire truck there. We're getting multiple advocacy groups are participating. I'm very excited to be hosting this at the community center.
They're gonna have hot dogs
And brownies.
and chai brownies. I think it's a great program and I'm glad that you guys wanted to be part of it.
Thank you.
It's a good thing. Thank you. That's right.
Okay. Well, thank you for bringing that up, because that did need to be elevated to the greater communities. So thank you, and thank you, seriously. Councilmember Wilson?
Good question.
Okay, and I just wanted to thank Public Works. I've had numerous people say, thank you for filling up those potholes, and it's just been some nicer drives around, and thank you for doing that. Thank you, guys, for doing it. Okay. Any questions from the public? Any questions, any hand raised, any emails? Okay, we will close the staff communications and move on to special study sessions. Presentation, adoption of the fiscal year 2025-2026 operating and capital budget, page 72 in our packets. City manager, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes and members of the council. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over as Rosa sets up the PowerPoint here to our finance director, Mr. Travis Sanborn.
Thank you, City Manager. Good evening, Mayor Garnes and council members. As we approach the end of our current fiscal year, I'm pleased to present the recommended budget that reflects our city's priorities and financial planning for the year ahead. Our budget development process follows a structured 4-month timeline that ensures careful planning and thorough review. We begin in March when department heads receive budget worksheets and start planning their needs for the coming year. In April, departments submit their funding requests, which our finance team carefully reviews and analyzes. By May, we create the initial draft budget and present it to the city manager for approval. Finally, in June, we present the recommended budget to you, the city council, for your consideration. This systematic approach ensures that every dollar is carefully considered before being presented to you for approval. The new fiscal year will begin on July 1st. During your May 20th and 27th meetings, the council established 5 key priorities that will guide our spending for the coming year. These priorities focus on public safety to ensure adequate police coverage for our community, economic development plan execution to move forward with our plans to grow local economy, public works infrastructure projects, maintain and improve our roads, water, and sewer systems, and police department personnel to support our law enforcement team. Parks and youth programs to invest in recreation and youth development as well. These priorities are reflected throughout this budget and guide how we allocate our resources. Our total recommended budget is $17.4 million. This money is divided into 3 main categories. First, we have operating expenses, which cover our day-to-day costs like salaries, utilities, and supplies. Second, we have debt service payments, which represent payments on money we borrowed for past projects or owe to third parties, such as HTA payments via our TDA allocation. And third, we have capital and special projects, which fund major infrastructure improvements and one-time initiatives. On the revenue side, we project $15.8 million coming into the next fiscal year. To balance our budget, we'll utilize $1.7 million from our unassigned fund balances, which includes a complete drawdown of the city's ARPA money received during the COVID time. The recommended budget is $2.1 million smaller than last fiscal year. This decrease primarily results from the completion of significant projects that have been underway for several years. We completed the Eel River Trail, which has become a popular community asset. We're also well underway with the major water infrastructure project, over $12 million that was funded by a state grant through the Regional Water Quality Control Board. When we move these large one-time projects from consideration, our most considerable ongoing expense remains the police department, with a budget exceeding $1.5 million. This makes sense as public safety remains the city's top priority as established by the city council. Our total projected revenue for the coming fiscal year is $15.8 million, which represents a decrease of $2.4 million compared to last year. This decrease mirrors our spending reduction and primarily reflects the completion of grant-funded capital projects, which means we receive less grant reimbursement money as these major projects come to a close. We also anticipate a decrease in our Measure O tax revenue due to a 0.25% reduction that took effect in January 2025. The general fund primarily relies on 4 primary revenue sources. Property taxes come from taxes on homes and businesses in our city. We also receive property tax and motor vehicle license fees, which is state money that replaces old car registration fees. Sales tax provide us with a portion of the taxes collected on purchases made in our city, and our licensed cannabis businesses generate cannabis tax revenue. Our general fund total for the coming year is projected at $1.7 million, which represents an increase of approximately $56,000 compared to last year. This anticipated growth is primarily due to increased property taxes and the vehicle license fees, which have actually risen over the past few years. General fund revenues were in a declining pattern from fiscal year 2021 through 23-24. And our revenues have now stabilized and are projected to increase for a 3rd consecutive fiscal year, as displayed in the bar chart on your screen. The general fund serves as our primary operating fund, providing financial resources for essential services and core operations. Since revenues within the general fund are unrestricted, we can allocate them towards various areas, including police services, general government operations and management, and specific capital projects. For the upcoming fiscal year, the general fund is budgeted at $1.86 million. Police services represent our largest funding allocation, accounting for $1.3 million, or 67% of the total general fund budget. This significant investment reflects our community's priority on public safety. The city administration accounts for 11% of the budget, and capital projects are allocated 3% of the budget for infrastructure improvements. The remaining 19% supports various other city operations and services. Our capital projects budget allocates just over $12 million for various infrastructure and special projects throughout the city. These are significant improvements that will benefit our community for years to come. Funding for these projects comes from several designated sources, including general fund, our motor pool fund for vehicle purchases, the Parks Capital Fund, which supports projects like the Eagle River Trail, the SB1 Fund, which uses state gas tax money specifically dedicated to street and road work, and the ARPA Fund, which utilizes federal COVID relief funds, and our sewer and water capital project allocations. This year's capital project budget represents a decrease of over $2 million compared to last year, primarily because we're completing rather than starting major projects. The water distribution system project is a primary driver of our capital spending, accounting for over $10 million of the allocated funds. This project represents major upgrades to ensure safe, reliable water service for our entire community. The organization chart illustrates how your city government operates and how its various components interact with one another. Citizens form the foundation of our government structure. The public elects city council members who represent their interests and establish policy for the city. The planning commission consists of citizens appointed by the council to serve in an advisory role, offering recommendations on matters related to development and land use. City staff encompasses the employee's responsibility for the day-to-day operations of city government, ensuring the smooth functioning of various departments. We also work with contractors or external companies or individuals we hire to perform specific tasks or provide specialized services such as engineering or legal counsel. This structure ensures that citizen input flows through your elected representatives to guide city operations effectively. The city of Rio Dell has budgeted a total of 23.05 equivalent full-time employees for the fiscal year 2025-2026. This represents a decrease of a little less than one full-time employee compared to the previous fiscal year. These adjustments help us maintain essential services while being fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars. I want to thank the city council for participating in the budget process and their continued commitment to fiscal responsibility. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank the city of Rio Dell staff for their support in building the budget for fiscal year 25-26. I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Thank you, Diane. Director Sanborn. Awesome presentation, and thank you for everything you've done. I know it's like your time of year when you've got to really be focused in.
Of course.
So we appreciate that. And everyone, all the staff who had the input to get to Travis, so thank you. Councilmember Orr.
Question for you.
Councilman Wilson.
I have any questions.
Councilmember Woodall.
No questions, but I want to thank you also because we were so good about it. Anytime I come into your office, giving me answers. And I appreciate the whole staff and I think this is great. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
No questions, but I just want to piggyback and say it's nice to be able to trust our city staff. I really do trust you all, and that is a big deal. So, thank you.
Any questions from the public? Any emails? So, we have what, 67, 72. And we have 572, and hang on. And city manager, is this, can it be approved, or are we just taking in information?
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just asking, is this, can we make a motion to approve,
Yes.
or do we, is this just informational?
No, this is an action item. So on,
Yeah, that's right.
72.
I know.
So the recommended action would be to approve resolution 1638-2025, adopting the fiscal year 25-26 operating and capital budget and position allocation table.
Is there a motion?
I would be glad to make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the budget. Vote, motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will move on to special call items. Appointment of an ad hoc committee related to economic development, page 96 in our packets. Here we are. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So the city council last appointed an economic development ad hoc in December of 2020. That ad hoc ultimately led to the creation of the current economic development strategy, which is on the following pages of your agenda item. And so based on our annual priority setting session, there was a discussion about updating the plan. And so we are recommending that the council appoint a new ad hoc to work with staff on an update of the current plan and implementation priorities. So work of this ad hoc and any ad hoc obviously would return back to the full council for any actionable items that need the council's consideration or approval. And so we are looking for 2 members of the city council to work with staff on this update. And the timeline for this is really kind of determined by the ad hoc. It could be a series of a couple meetings over a month, or this could, go for quite a while. But we want to, gear it up so that we have kind of the next phase of our strategy. So again, 2 members from the city council. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, city manager. So my inclination would be Mayor Pro Tem, myself, but so, yeah, but,
I'd like to be on the committee.
so I guess we have to decide.
You do what you want. Just do it.
Yeah, so. It's, you know, so,
Do you want me to make a case for myself? I'll make a case for myself.
since the group is having us.
So Karen, can you help with that? Is it?
Yeah, so is it up to the mayor to make the appointment or the city council? A consensus of the council. I moved done it both ways.
That's my point.
You know, so if we've done it both ways, it can go both ways. I would,
Pleasure of the council.
I would recommend that, that the council have a discussion about the membership and then make a vote on membership.
If you want to.
I want to do this. I have a lot of ideas already, and I think that I am young and I have a ton of energy, and the spay neuter program is going really well. So I have a little bit more headspace and time for this. And I just think I'd be really good at it. So that's why I want to do it.
And do you go for the next, right? Because I'll go last.
Yeah, I wasn't on the last one, but I'd like to be on this one. The economic development is a big deal. We really need to do something. I'm saying the other people can't do it, but it is a priority that we need to. We need to do something.
Right, and my feeling is like, that was literally, the economic development was literally my number one. It was practically my only focus because everything else falls from that. And so that's why, I mean, I do have some ideas. I do want Rio Dell. I do understand that we've got to sort something out in order to move forward. So, so that's my position is that, so I guess it becomes now a vote because you said that. So I'm old.
No,
She didn't make that. She didn't make that.
I mean, man, you can't slow me down. I don't sleep at night. I got all kinds of stuff.
I know I'm teasing.
I know.
So, so basically, we can all agree on the manager. So basically, I guess we're just trying to sort who we want and as a,
You want to do it, I'll defer to.
because I mean, I really do want to do it. I mean, truthfully,
Then I defer to,
that's so awesome. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you very much.
So do you want a motion or do we have to do the?
There should be a motion, yes.
Okay, I make a motion that the mayor and Amanda are on the ad hoc committee.
Second.
Motion is a second. Did you want to be on?
No,
Oh, you're, oh, yeah.
I agree with the two that are.
Oh, you just, oh. Oh, okay, well, that's fair. So motion carries 4-1. Okay. Now we will move on to ordinances and special resolutions. Introduction and first reading by title only of ordinance number 417-2025, banning the sale of nitrous oxide in the city of Rio Dell. Page 104 in our packets. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So this has been something in discussion at the staff level for quite a while in concert with our partners at County Public Health and the other cities as well. So back on August 20th, 2024, the Rio Dell City Council held a meeting to discuss just informally the banning of nitrous oxide in the city of Rio Dell. At that point in time, the consensus of the council was for staff to return with an ordinance banning nitrous oxide. Since that meeting, again, staff has been working with the Public Health Division of the County of Humboldt and our neighboring jurisdictions to craft a unified ordinance so that there's kind of interoperability and no major differences between the various ordinances across the jurisdiction. So we do anticipate that this ordinance will be adopted by all 7 cities, and I believe that the council adopted it, or excuse me, the Board of Supervisors adopted it today at their second reading. We do have some folks here from Public Health, Jay and Katie, to discuss and answer any questions that the council has. They do have a presentation, and so if Jay and or Katie would like to come up and give a presentation, I'm sure the council would appreciate. So welcome to Rio Dell.
Welcome, thank you for being here.
I have copies of the slide deck that I can pass around to everyone. And then also Public Health has completed yes, you guys have the detailed landscape analysis. Perfect. And then we have a slide deck. Thank you.
Our system, it takes longer than it normally would, but it's getting pulled up right now.
Perfect. Thank you for this opportunity to present about public health's work on recreational nitrous oxide. My name is Katie Jo Slaughter. I am an interim program services coordinator in the Healthy Communities Division of Public Health. I am the supervisor for our substance use prevention program, and I'm here today with Jay. I will let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Jay Macedo, and I work at the Health and Social Policy Institute, communities addressing nicotine, and work in the jurisdictions in Humboldt County on nicotine issues and tobacco retail licensing, as well as at this time looking at nitrous oxide in tobacco retailer outlets.
Next. And so I'm going to just briefly give you a background of what nitrous oxide is as a substance. And just to note, scattered throughout this slide deck are photos that our staff have captured of nitrous oxide litter in our community. And you can see the captions tell you where we saw it. So nitrous oxide is a colorless gas that does have intended appropriate use in medical and dental and pharmaceutical settings. What we're talking about is the recreational use of nitrous oxide, so illicit use intended for folks to get high. And it has a variety of short-term and long-term effects. The next slide will tell you a little bit more about the short-term effects. I think commonly, most people are familiar with the dizziness and lightheadedness, sometimes passing out. It can also cause a variety of other symptoms, which are listed here on the slide. And then next for the long-term effects. And so nitrous oxide is not harmless and has, there are research studies, we are using one from the Alcohol and Drug Foundation that shows some of the possible long-term effects of recreational substance use, which include memory loss, vitamin B12 depletion, numbness in hands and feet, neurological damage. This isn't the complete list on the slide, but you can refer to it. And then I just wanted to point out, I actually captured the photo in this slide on a hike at the mouth of Van Duzen River, not far from here near Alton. Next. Thankfully, this is the only presentation where we've actually had a live representation of these products. And so this is a tank of nitrous oxide. Jay and I decided we would consider this a large size tank, but you'll see at the bottom. So this is a tank that will dispense a steady stream of gas. And in our retail environment in Humboldt County, you will find small to extra large containers, tanks like this. More historically, you would see the canisters, which are the small metal cartridges that are loaded into a cracker, and you are dispensing gas via the cracker. The tanks allow for a steady, much larger, higher volume of gas being dispensed than the canisters and the crackers. Next. So Public Health has been working on recreational nitrous oxide for longer than the timeline on this slide, but we really started actively engaging with this in January 2024. This work was Public Health was directed to do this work by the Board of Supervisors. By June 2024, one of my programs, Substance Use Prevention, had secured state funding to do this work. And we landed on doing a recreational nitrous oxide retail landscape analysis. We are going to present the results of the data we collected during that analysis and talk a little bit about nitrous oxide sales that we observed in the Eel River Valley. We teamed up with partners to do the landscape analysis, including Jay, who actually did the retail observations throughout the Eel River Valley. We have been to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you, Kyle, for noting that the Board of Supervisors did adopt their standalone nitrous oxide ordinance today, as well as an amendment to the tobacco retail licensing ordinance in unincorporated areas of Humboldt to include nitrous oxide. We have presented to the Arcata City Council, and Jay and I will be at another City Council meeting in Ferndale later this month. Next. And so to start talking about the actual retail landscape analysis, here is our observation timeline. So between October 2024 and April 2025, our collective team of public health and our partners from HASP-CAN visited 144 retail outlets throughout Humboldt County. This work included observations in unincorporated and incorporated areas of Humboldt County. It does not include observations in our tribal areas. They are sovereign nations, and we, public health, do not have jurisdiction in their areas. Okay, next. Okay, so we observed nitrous oxide products in 24 of the 144 retail outlets. What's really important to note here is that our staff, for our safety, did what's called located in plain sight observations. So we walked in and we looked what we could see to the visible eye. We were not going into back rooms. We were not looking for hidden areas. So we don't have data on if the retail outlets are selling nitrous oxide in back rooms, closed cabinets, or hidden areas. These are our outlets where anyone, any member of the community walks into this retail establishment and there is nitrous oxide to the right front and center. And so 18 of these retail outlets had the crackers, the canisters, and the tanks. 5 of those outlets had only the crackers and canisters. One of them only had the little canisters. Overall, we did not disclose these observations, but at 34 of the 144 retail outlets, we have established working relationships with our tobacco retailers, and we're able to actually talk to them about the work that public health is doing on nitrous, and they actually were very helpful and supportive to that work. But at the majority of the outlets, the observations were undisclosed. Next. So here's a chart that shows you a breakdown of the types of stores where we found nitrous oxide. So the majority of the stores we found in Humboldt selling nitrous oxide were smoke shops. So 18 smoke shops were selling nitrous. We have 3 independent stores that were selling nitrous, 2 glass blower studios that also sell tobacco, and 1 sex shop. We have a corner market in 1 city jurisdiction that sells nitrous, a home goods store in 1 city jurisdiction that was selling nitrous we anticipated was for home-based culinary use. Because another use of nitrous oxide is to make whipped cream. And that's what the canister and the crackers are for. And then we have 1 chef store in the safety corridor between Eureka and Arcata that only sells nitrous oxide for culinary use to folks with an appropriate business license. And next, and I'm gonna also let Jay start chiming in here because he actually did the observations in the ERV. So this is our data from the Eel River Valley. And so we're talking about Scotia, Rio Dell, Fortuna, and Ferndale. And so we visited 28 retail outlets throughout the Eel River Valley, and I'm gonna let Jay step in to talk more about that work.
All right. Yeah, so this was done in February of 2025. And we went, it was 1 day, 1.5 days that we went to these different tobacco retailers and other types of retailers, sorry. And so there were 3 smoke shops in Fortuna, and then there were that all sold. So there was nitrous like right when you like walked in, and then there was other retailers. There like the gas stations, other like Safeways, that type. There wasn't any nitrous like out like sold like it was in the smoke shop areas, and that was kind of across the board for most of Humboldt County is where the smoke shops is the concentration of nitrous being sold. And usually it's sold like if they're standing here, it's like on the ground right next to them. So if they can step in front of it if they don't want it seen, or step to the side if they do want it seen. And some there wasn't even any kind of like hidden element. It was just out in the open being sold. So there, in Rio Dell, there wasn't, we didn't find anyone selling it openly, but we did have some anecdotal evidence that there may be a retailer in Rio Dell that may be selling it, but it was out of the sight at the time that we went into the retailer store. So,
yeah, and just, we already talked about this, but we did find 1 home goods store in Ferndale that's represented in the graph that was selling limited nitrous oxide products, a canister and cracker set that we assumed was for home-based culinary use. And then we know from community members that we have heard that they believe that folks from other jurisdictions in the Eel River Valley will travel to Fortuna to purchase nitrous oxide products. Okay, next. So key findings from our retail landscape, our overall retail landscape analysis. So our smoke shops and tobacco retail outlets that are selling nitrous oxide also tend to have a larger variety of flavored nicotine and tobacco products, which are currently banned by the state. And then we heard a lot of anecdotal evidence that what we found in plain sight may be the tip of the iceberg, and that these outlets that have nitrous oxide in plain sight may have more nitrous oxide in back rooms, behind closed doors, and locked cabinets. So what we found is probably the lowest hanging fruit, and there may be more nitrous oxide in our retail environment. Kyle talked about the policy development. So public health is recommending and has been working with the city jurisdictions and the county to have a unified policy approach between the county and the 7 city jurisdictions. The Humboldt County, like I said, just today adopted their standalone nitrous oxide ordinance and amending our current countywide tobacco retail licensing ordinance to reference nitrous oxide. And we have presented at the city of Arcata. They are considering a standalone nitrous oxide ordinance. And then our team has been doing work to present to our tribal partners about this work. And we presented to the United Indian Health Services Board of Directors in April about our work on recreational nitrous oxide.
Yeah, and that's especially in light of with the state flavor ban. And then I'm a Euro tribal member and I worked with my tribe on tobacco policies the last 5 years. And one of the things that happened with the flavor ban is now there's tribes that are now selling flavored tobacco that weren't in the past. So if we're going about this, like making sure that tribes are on board as well, so that it's not being sold on reservations or in stores, and along with like flavored tobacco and things like that. So trying to work on the policy. Not just across the jurisdictions that are, cities, but also tribal jurisdictions too. So we're trying to look at that as well. So we don't have islands.
Next. A little bit about the county's nitrous oxide ordinance, because again, we are hoping for a unified policy campaign around nitrous oxide. So the county ordinance is a ban on the sale of nitrous oxide and all associated paraphernalia. There are no exceptions for culinary nitrous or automotive nitrous. There is exceptions for medical, dental, pharmaceutical use of nitrous in appropriate settings. And then, of course, for a grocery store or Costco that's selling your prepackaged cans of whipped cream, those are still permissible under the ordinance. There are various levels of enforcement that go from a misdemeanor, public nuisance is included, 4 jurisdictions that also have a tobacco retail license. It can involve the revocation of your Humboldt County business license and your tobacco retail license. If a jurisdiction does not also have a concurrent tobacco retail license, then those would not apply if you're just adopting a standalone nitrous oxide ordinance. And I think we're going to talk about the TRL, the tobacco retail license ordinance next. Yeah. I know we have presented to your council before about public health's work on tobacco retail licensing. Currently in Humboldt, the county is the only jurisdiction with a tobacco retail licensing ordinance, although some of the city jurisdictions are considering their own TRLs, as they are also called. So the county's was adopted in July 2023. And the purpose of these ordinances are really to reduce the availability of tobacco for youth in the community. It also provides us local control for all the local, state, and federal tobacco laws that are coming into Humboldt County, including the flavor ban. And under the county's TRL ordinance, Public Health's Division of Environmental Health provides the enforcement for the TRL. And so the amendment, to the existing TRL for the county, it references the nitrous oxide ordinance and it provides those additional layers of enforcement I talked about, where if a tobacco retailer is also selling nitrous oxide, they can lose their Humboldt County business license and their tobacco retail license that allows them to sell tobacco in Humboldt. Next. And then our final 2 slides are our acknowledgement. This has been a collective community effort. We have had a lot of support along the way. This is all the people that we want to acknowledge for supporting this work, including your police department. Thank you. Yeah. And then we have some resources that were cited in the references that were cited in the slide deck, if you want more to really dive into the research. And now, if you have any questions, please let us know.
Thank you for that presentation. It was very thorough, and your point was very passionately made. Thank you. Councilmember Wilson?
Yeah. Obviously, we know who's selling that in Rio Dell. Are you going to be able to enforce? I talked to the chief. Are we going to be able to enforce this, that they're not going to do it?
Yes, with the passing of this ordinance, we will be able to enforce that.
So what can you do to them if you catch them with, not out on the counter, but it doesn't sound like it, but they're out there,
Business,
where you see it.
business you're referring to, Councilmember Wilson, also has an alcohol license, which is ground for inspection of the entire premises. So it opens up the entire business to law enforcement inspection.
So you can revoke that license.
Yeah, we can submit that to ABC for revocation. We can issue administrative citations, as well as potential misdemeanor arrests.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Wardle?
So you could kind of do like stings, like with the one when they send underage people in to buy liquor. So could you send anybody, since there's no age limit, in to buy a
Yes,
nitrous and,
yes, you can do that as well.
okay. And is nitrous physically addicting or just, I mean, like a hard drug?
Yes, nitrous is a significant health and wellness concern throughout Humboldt County. And we do know anecdotally from our county treatment providers that they are treating folks for problematic nitrous oxide substance use. And many local people in Humboldt have experienced friends and family members who have suffered with problematic nitrous oxide use.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Wardle?
Has there been any discussion about how it can still be available to food service industry, or is there a replacement available to them?
At this point, the county is recommending a total ban on nitrous oxide products. And I guess we would all be left with making whipped cream by hand. And not,
You mean they would still have the bottles, it's just if you wanna make it from scratch.
if you want, yeah, oh, so yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, absolutely. So the nitrous
Some
oxide.
certain people would know more with it.
Yeah, no, that. Sorry. No, like I had said before, there is an exception for the pre-packaged whipped cream that contains nitrous oxide as a propellant, like Ready Whip that you would buy probably at Dollar General across the street. But this is just, there would not be a provision that allows people to use nitrous oxide to make home-based whipped cream on their own.
But like in a restaurant?
Not in a restaurant either.
Is there a potential for that later? I mean, just coming from a restaurant background and owning one, that's a huge deal.
I understand, there has definitely been feedback from the culinary industry already. The county and I think some of the city jurisdictions are concerned and public health is concerned that culinary nitrous oxide is being diverted towards recreational use and sometimes to young people. So that's why we are recommending a total ban. So that culinary nitrous oxide doesn't end up with young people and with folks who have problematic nitrous oxide use. And I don't believe that anyone is making whipped cream at home with a tank this size.
My question was Robert's question, so been answered, thank you.
So is there, at least in Rio Dell, is there a way, not that there is an actual restaurant here that would be in this category? I do have an issue with, it seems unreasonable to say a professional business can't use something that is used professionally in their business. That's bothersome.
Mayor
I don't care for that.
If I may answer that.
Okay.
The ordinance before the council has exceptions built into it for restaurant use as well as automobile use. It does not specifically mirror the county's ordinance. So within the city of Rio Dell, you would be able to still possess it for those purposes under this ordinance, and it could still be obtained online.
And so, and if we find that becomes a problem, we can always come back and address that. We're just, So are there any questions from the public? Are there any hands raised, any emails? Any discussions on the council? Okay, so then I would, ask if there is a motion to introduce and continue the item to regularly scheduled meeting of June 17th, 2025 for adoption of ordinance number 417-2025, creating chapter 9.30 title 9 of the Rio Dell Municipal Code pertaining to sale of nitrous oxide and further creating a comprehensive nitrous oxide ordinance.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your input, Chief. Council reports and communications.
Oh,
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you for reiterating the Blue Envelope launch this Thursday at the Resource Center at 5 to 7 p.m. And this open to the community, right?
Absolutely.
Come on down. It sounds like it's gonna be a really fun launch party, so I'll be there. Hope to see everybody else there too.
What time is it?
5 to 7 p.m. at the Resource Center. The Chamber of Commerce monthly meeting is this Friday at noon in the Town of Scotia offices. The Resource Center is also hosting a garden party right over here at our community garden. That'll be this Saturday, June 7th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I think we're usually there. It's a cute little thing. You make tie-dye t-shirts, learn about bees. It's fun. Yeah, they always have food. The Resource Center is also hosting a bike rodeo June 14th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the fire hall. Now that one's really fun. I've been to that one every year that she's done it. Even though I'm the oldest person in the bike parade, I am there.
Okay.
And thank you.
Okay.
It's really fun.
I'll be dull.
And it's geared towards the youth of the community and bike safety, and they get little licenses right when they pass their safety course. I've even seen them handing out helmets, free helmets to every kid. And it's a really fun thing. My last report is to please spay and neuter your pets. It is kitten season. I don't care if you've got a stray cat, a feral cat, call me, I'll come get your cat and we'll get it spayed. Thank you, that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember, what?
You gonna ride your bicycle, Chief?
Corporal Landry will be there leading the parade on the bicycle.
Yes.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Councilmember Moore,
Nothing to report this week.
Councilmember Wilson,
Only thing I had was a AWMA meeting last week. And we adopted the annual budget for AWMA. And with the price of the tipping fees and particularly the compost, isn't going to the mill over here anymore, they apparently don't want it, or they've got a reason they aren't taking it, but your bill will probably reflect it a little bit of an increase in your garbage bill. Bill fell, not a huge thing at this time, but it's the bigger ones coming. That's
and I was on Friday a part of the ribbon cutting for HTA's hydrogen bus, which is the only hydrogen bus north of the Bay Area. That they had 2 different grants, but in total $66 million. 11 more buses are on order. They have tested the bus. They've gone up Berry Summit. They've gone down to Southern Humboldt. They know that it can make the range of everything it needs to make. The bus itself is beautiful. The wrap, they have USB ports between the 2 seats, every seat. And it is really a huge deal for Humboldt County. Humboldt County the HTA is like truly leading the way for the North Coast and most all of California. So that was a very proud moment. The bus can run 320 miles from Eureka to Ukiah and back. They put 5,400 pounds of weight on the bus to simulate a full load. And it was able to do that 8.2 miles of hydrogen. And so the total range ended up being 435 miles. So it's really something that Humboldt County should be proud of, and Humboldt County should really be proud of the transit, the HTA staff that went after those grants, that got them, that made all of this work. It was not easy and it took a long time. They're also putting in a permanent hydrogen fueling station. They currently have a temporary one, but they're putting in a permanent one that will allow for the public, the members of the public, to fuel their vehicles with hydrogen. It's going to be one side public facing and the other side for the buses. So they're not just about the mass transit, they're looking out for everyone who has a hydrogen vehicle. So that's an awesome thing. And then on Thursday, I and hopefully the city manager will be doing a leadership training. It's not a training, it's just kind of a conference at the River Lodge with the, that's really what I was trying to find here, Sherry. At the River Lodge, talking about disaster preparedness and economic development. The city of Fortuna members will be there, city manager will be there. The Chief Kurt, what's Kurt's last name on CDF?
McCray.
Kurt McCray will be there talking about disaster preparedness and hardening your home and all of the things that people need to think about. And we're talking to people who are coming up and becoming leaders. So these are people who are very engaged, who want to know what's happening, who want to understand how to go about doing these things in a leadership position. So that will be on Thursday at the River Lodge. And that is on it. That's my report.
Were you gonna talk to the, about the gentleman?
Thank you. And thank you. So on a week ago Sunday, I met with a candidate who his name is Damon Connolly. He is currently an assembly member, California assembly member. He came up, he's running for Senator McGuire's seat next year in November, and he came up and we did a walking tour of Rio Dell. He asked all of questions about the things we need, how we're going about it. We walked the trail, we walked down on the river, we walked over to the top, Cal Fire property, the Cal Fire property. We walked along the streets and we talked about Rio Dell and the things that Rio Dell needs and the things that Senator McGuire has done previously and what he hopes to continue to do for Rio Dell. And I thought that was really, it was important whether he wins or not. What really struck me was that as a candidate, he came up and actually showed interest in Rio Dell. And so I just thought he has already got a job. He's already a assembly member for Sonoma. So anyway, I just wanted to report that out, that I had done that and I had talked to him and we had walked around Rio Dell and given him kind of a heads up on what's going on here. So that is like, is that all? Was there anything else I forgot? So that is my report, and so I guess I would ask if there is a motion to adjourn. So moved. We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Okay. Meeting adjourned until June 17th.